Hey, what's up? I'm Marty Yang, creator of the Lucky Brain podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy. Adam, thank you so much for doing this, dude. I appreciate it. I sincerely do. I'm a big fan of yours.
Appreciate it.
I like the work that you're doing out in the world, building community with your book club, Uncommon Man, the fitness and health aspect to your business. You're a transformation coach. And from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, you specifically, or your target audience is men, correct?
For the most part, yeah.
Mm-hmm. For the most part, okay. You're on a very cool path, man. What got you started in this?
Cool. Well, that's an interesting question because I do a few things. But what got me started in transformation? Is that the question?
What got you started on the path of wanting to provide value in the realm of like health and love and community and education, all this? What got, that's a pretty general big question, but like what got you started?
Yeah. So back in 2007, when I was a senior in high school, that's kind of when my whole life changed. And I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing now with kind of all the different groups that I run. I run a lot of different Facebook groups and the book club, like you said, run a business. And that community aspect of, I think, who I am started from a conversation I had when I was 17, right after the Virginia Tech shooting. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah. So that shooting, myself and 11 friends and a teacher, my English teacher, we sat together after high school, after class, and we talked about what we could do to make sure that shooting doesn't happen in our school. Yeah. And so I'm really, really big on getting people together in a conversation, and talking about the real things that really matter. Because what we did as 17-year-old students and a 27-year-old English teacher, we decided that we wanted to basically make our school better. We wanted to include everybody in, so something like that wouldn't happen, because we saw that the disconnection in our society and the disconnection in our own school was what was causing all the problems we have, right? We saw that and we noticed that and we said, well, what if we could actually change that? What if we can come together for one day and actually bring everybody together? Everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, what age you are, boy, girl, doesn't matter. Let's just come together and try and get along. And that was kind of the whole idea that we had. And we called it a day without hate, right? What if, and it was like the imagining of what if we could just have one day that we don't hate each other.
Yeah.
In this world, if we just went one day. So that's where we started. And we kind of threw all these ideas together. And, 11 days later, we actually pulled off our first day without hate. And that was amazing. That was in the 26th of April in 2007. And so that idea that we had of coming together and accepting everybody for who they are.
Yeah. That
idea spread worldwide. So I'm still partnered. I'm still running that organization, or at least I'm the outreach director for it. So the students run it, but I'm still, in it. And the idea has spread to millions of people around the world in the last 14 years. And we're in almost every single state right now. We're in 5 countries, and it's just been it's been a really, really amazing thing to see that people want that. People need that, and that they're craving it. Of, I want to be accepted for who I am. I just don't feel safe to open up yet. And what if we could have a day that people feel safe enough to be who they really are?
Yeah.
So that's what transformed me, of the power of conversation, allowing people to actually be who they are and have those powerful conversations about real shit.
Yes.
17 years old, we were talking about school shootings after school. I don't know if we were supposed to, but we didn't care. We're like, this is really happening. And we really need to talk about this to make sure it doesn't happen. Yeah. And so powerful conversations, that's what I like to facilitate and just get people together.
Yeah, no, you can definitely tell that with your book club and with the Facebook content that you put out. That's amazing, man. That is like nowhere near the mindset that I had when I was 17 years old. So that's incredible. Just the fact that you think that way and that you are able to continue to foster that type of work into, I don't know, how old are you now?
I'm 31.
31. So like, a decade plus on.
Yeah.
That's really incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'll tag the Day Without Hate website
Okay.
in this as well. So that's cool, man. Tell me a little bit about your book club, and
Yeah.
because when it comes to school shootings and when it comes to like mass shootings in general, typically it's men. I mean, it's all men.
Oh
So
man,
I
yeah.
think that's an important thing to have tough conversations about, like, what's really going on? Like, why are you feeling the way that you feel? During the course of your work, like, what are some of the common, I guess, insecurities or like worries, fears that men have about being masculine or just being themselves, being able to freely express themselves?
Yeah. Man, there's a lot of them. We were actually last night going pretty deep. We meet every week, and we're starting to meet back in person again because we were doing Zoom for about 4 months. But we're back in person, and that's what we got into was the masks that we're holding on to, right? And a lot of these masks actually stem from obviously childhood, as you probably know, but a lot of them for men come from the way we were raised by our dads, right? So a lot of the guys have daddy issues, right?
Yeah.
Still, as 30, 40, 50-year-old men in the group, we all still have these issues that we're trying to deal with from relational issues from our own dad. And it was a really powerful moment last night because what was happening was we had we have 4 guys in the group last night. We have roughly 30 or 40 guys in the book club, but 4 of the guys last night that met in person, they were talking about the realization they had when they were dropping their high school kids off to college, right? And one particular guy, Chris, was talking about how he's dropping off his son at college and how he cried. He bawled his eyes out dropping him off because he started thinking about all the ways that he messed up.
Oh, wow.
Right. So he was talking about things like, he's like, I can't let it go of how bad I messed up as a dad. But he's also been doing so much work that he realizes there's nothing he can do to fix that, even though he's gone back and tried to have the conversations and try to fix it. It was a really powerful thing because the guys, the other fathers are like, yeah, I just dropped my kid off too, or I'm about to, and I'm like worried about it. And so all these fathers were having this guilt of, I didn't do enough. And then on the other side, myself and a few of the other guys that are single and we don't have kids yet, we were like, I'm feeling the same way right now about my dad. Now that you guys are talking about it, the opposite of, I didn't do enough for my dad. Right. So as sons, we could have done better for our own fathers and had a better relationship. So we were talking about the relationship we have now with, really the most important people we have in our life, our kids, if we're fathers, or if we're not, it's still our dads or our close family.
Right.
So yeah, so we got pretty deep last night, but a lot of the guys, are there for that connection. And we had 2 new guys actually show up last night. And I asked one of them today, I was like, what'd you think, man? What was your thoughts? And he was like, I was skeptical going into it because I've never seen guys be vulnerable or open like that before.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, Adam, that you foster that. That's cool. A safe space for guys to just like still be guys, because there's more than just being masculine and tough. And one of the things that my dad taught me is like, like, don't cry. Like, you got to be tough. Like, don't cry. So, that kind of sticks with me as well. But, I think I was listening to a podcast with Tom Bilyeu and some ultra wealthy person that he had on his podcast. I'm forgetting his name right now. But he was talking about that he had to do something big really big in order to get his dad's attention and his dad's love. So in a way, his success is predicated off daddy issues, if that's what you want to call it. So it's kind of nuts. how you like transition and spin things in your mind that maybe even subconsciously or unconsciously directs you like your life path. It's nuts. But that's cool that you do create that space for men to do that. Yeah. Again, man, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. Well, the way it started too, if you're curious, was my own need. I was scratching my own back and realized I didn't have enough friends at a point in my life that I needed some guys to talk to. And, and that's kind of how it all got started. Was I need guys in my life that I can count on. And I looked around and I was like, where's everyone at? I need someone to talk to. And even myself 3 years ago, when I started it, I had a very good group of friends. But when the shit hit the fan, I called them, no answer. I text them, no answer for 2 weeks. Okay. So I realized that as strong as my relationships were, I needed more relationships that were stronger.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, let me go ahead and read a book and invite a friend. Maybe he wants to read it too. And it was just perfect timing for all these guys coming in. They're like, dude, I just went through a breakup. I don't know what to do with my life now. Like, I need a group of guys to talk to.
Yeah.
Right. Or I just lost my job and I'm freaking out or whatever. Right. We all have these issues that we're trying to figure out. And it's like, come to the table, come figure it out with us, because we're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah. The work that you're doing right now, Adam, is specifically during these times with people being so isolated with, I mean, we're online right now speaking over the internet. I'd much prefer to like be in person in Colorado, sitting down, chatting with you. And maybe that will happen one day. I mean, I'm not leaving that out of the playbook here, but the work that you're doing, man, bringing community is so important. I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan's podcast, and he had a guy on, God damn it, who was kind of like a war journalist, and he was talking about the community that the soldiers and that he built with while being in there. It's just the bonds are so strong that you feel like those are your brothers, like you're like risking your lives together. And in a way, I think that what you're doing is something similar, because now, as opposed to like major threats, aside from war, like back in the day, if we had threats from like animals or other like tribe members or what have you, that would be like some real threats. But the threats today are much more like insecurity. Your insecurity gets exposed, or the fear of failure, or things like that. And to be able to like almost like be vulnerable and like almost like go to war with your emotions with a group of guys, that's fucking cool, man. That's amazing. So I was checking out one of your books that you were reading most recently, the 12-week year.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that book. Is that by Tim Ferriss?
No, it's not by Tim Ferriss, and I am skipping the name of it right now. But yeah, the premise of it, we're in week 2 of week 4. But the premise of the book is that you can compress an entire year into 12 weeks, right? So every month you can compress into a week.
Yeah.
Because most of the time that we're spending, I mean, if we're honest, on our work, or if we're working on projects, a lot of it is really not focused time. A lot of it is distracted time. And so if it was actually focused time and intentional, you could actually compress it. And there's a law, some people call it the Parkinson's law, or the Pareto principle, which Tim Ferriss talks about, of how do you actually take something, a task, and how to get it done faster, right? If you had to clean your room and, you had a whole week to do it, well, you do it at the very end, right? You would do it at day 7. But if you had 30 minutes to clean it, you would clean it in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just the idea of when's the timeline need to be done. Yeah. You'll get things done. So that's how to do it. And so there's a process of visualizing or visioning what is the perfect future for the next 12 weeks. And instead of looking a year down the line, which a lot of people do, New Year's resolutions, and a year is like so far away that people are like, I'm not motivated to lose 30 pounds. I don't need to. But if you had a timeline of 3 months, you got to lose 30 pounds. That makes it real, because that timeline is closer, right? So you're just pulling in that visioning of this could happen.
Gotcha.
So, and then you go through the process to do that. But it's an amazing book right now.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Which you're using the example of like, if you had a week to clean your room, you'd wait till day 7. But if you had 30 minutes to clean your room, like you'd be able to like clean it right there. You would have to clean it right there.
Yeah.
Would you find that, I guess, approach similar like in your fitness business when it comes to like getting people fit with their bodies? Like, that is something that I've struggled with. I guess it hasn't been my main priority when it comes to like getting fitness, but I know how important it is. Tony Robbins says something that people change for either like 2 reasons: inspiration or desperation. And I'm not that desperate yet. My body's all right. My health is all right. So I guess the question would be like, what are some of the challenges that you find in your like working with people when trying to get them fit?
Well, yeah, that's there's a lot of issues because it's basically working with people's minds, right? I'm a life coach as well, so that's kind of where I start things off. Is because if you don't understand how the mind works of a certain individual, you won't be able to help them. You'll be able to help them up to a certain point, but my whole business model is to get people to do the things they don't want to do, but also do them after I'm away.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want people to be dependent on me as their coach forever, because that's not sustainable. I want people to understand how their own body works better than anybody, right? Because it's their body. I want them to also understand that it is their responsibility and their ownership that is going to take care of that for the rest of their life, right? And I've been able to do that with my body, and that's what I'm trying to pass along, is that you can do this. You just need the understanding of who you are, but also how the body works, right? So that's what I aim to teach. And I think that a lot of the things too, as we're talking about inspiration, desperation, is kind of being the push and the pull of motivation. Desperation is for sure where I see most people come in. I'm way overweight, or my girlfriend says I look fat, or my boyfriend says I look fat, or whatever. And they're like, I need to change now because I'm in pain, right? Embarrassment usually. Then once that embarrassment's gone, then what? Well, you need that vision, right? You need, what are you actually going to become? Who are you going to become? And why does it matter that you change? And most people never get to those questions. And underneath those, the biggest thing from getting, a 12-week result to a 12-year result is the identity of that person. Okay. And so I run clients through a value system. And so we can understand, what do you value? And if you don't value health in your top 3 values, if you don't learn to value health in the top 3, you won't be able to make this sustainable. Because if you don't have an identity that you're a healthy person, you won't behave the way healthy people behave.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what people start to understand as we start to work, is that, oh, wow, I literally have to change who I am to change who I am. Right.
Yeah.
But it starts here, the way you think. And a lot of it, man, actually, again, stems from when we're kids. Well, who did you believe you had to become to receive love?
I love that question. That's such a mind-blowing question. I feel like that was the example that Tom Bilyeu and his guests were talking about. It's like, who did you have to become to receive love? I think that is an amazing question. Continue. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, that's basically it. It's understanding those questions about yourself, because when you understand what those subconscious, or kind of like, the tide, kind of how the tide is pulling and pushing you, you're not gonna be able to see that on the surface, but underneath the water, you're gonna be able to see that very quickly, that all the, everything's moving one way, and we never dive deep enough, right? And again, those conversations, like I said, I love conversations because there's an art to it. And if you can understand how to do it right, you can get to the problem, and that person can get that light bulb of like, oh shit, that's why I've been overeating my entire life, and I've been self-sabotaging, which I don't believe in. But they do things in a certain way because oftentimes they think they have to do things to receive love still. So it's an emotional issue that's attached to an old identity that's no longer serving them, right? So understand,
Right.
what is the old identity of who you think you had to become? What are the emotions attached to it? And then slowly start to remove those and attach it to a new identity,
Yeah.
right? You need a new identity if you want a new body. That's simply
Wow.
the way it is. And that's the hardest work, is shifting that identity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you first start getting into fitness? Because, dude, like, you have your shirt on right now, but dude, you're like super jacked, super lean at the same time. When did you first start your fitness journey? Was it something that you were always partial to? Is this something that, kind of kicked in high school, after high school?
Yeah. I was always an athlete. I grew up playing baseball. That was like my first love. Played as much as I could, played any sport I could growing up. Played golf in high school. And golf was actually what kind of got me into fitness, funny enough. Because I was the captain of the team. I was all state, I was all conference, all that.
Whoa,
And yeah,
nice.
I was pretty good back in high school, and but I wanted to get better, right? I was obsessed about the game, and for me, I was doing all the work mentally. That's where I started reading books. Really, that was the first book I ever picked up. Was actually a book called Zen on the Green, and it was all about the mindset of putting, the mindset of golf, and how to calm your mind down. Um, so, thank God for golf, because it got me into reading, and it also got me into fitness, because I saw Tiger Woods training, and he was benching and he was squatting. And I was like, a golfer is benching 300 pounds. Why?
Yeah.
And then, obviously he's the number one golfer at the time. And I was 130 pounds, right? I was 130 pounds, super skinny, super, super self-confident, or
Self-conscious.
unconfident. Yeah, unconfident. And I was depressed. I was depressed for like 2.5, 3 years, right? And basically entirety of my high school, I was in this like funk mentally, and golf was my escape.
Mm.
So I could leave the house and all my problems and all the worries and all the struggles I had, and I can go play golf and get lost, right? Some people do that with games, I think. Um, so I started lifting weights though. And that was what triggered me, because when I started lifting weights, I started to see my mental health shift, right? I started to eat better. I wanted to get really good at this fitness thing, because I knew it'd play off or benefit me in golf. And I'm like, well, let me get really good at this end. And I gained 15 pounds of muscle within, the first month, which is not uncommon, especially when you're that, underweight. But I saw the physical transformation. Immediately I felt more confident. And I was like, oh, girls are responding to me differently. They kind of
Yeah.
smiling, right?
Yeah.
And I felt good. And I felt good to get all that stuff out, kind of, underneath the bar doing benching and stuff. And yeah, I stuck with it, and I was like, I want to learn more about the game of health, because this is the game. And I started to understand this as like a 17-year-old kid, but looking at my parents, looking at the way that they treated themselves and the health that they were in, they weren't healthy. They weren't taking care of themselves. They were depressed. They were angry. They were fearful, right? They had all the things that I looked at, and I was like, I don't want to be like that. I need to learn how to take care of this, and I need to learn how to take care of this. Because if I don't, I'm going to end up even more depressed than I am, and I'm probably going to end up sick, and I don't
Yeah.
want that. And
Yeah.
so I understood that the most valuable thing in life is your health. Because if you don't
Absolutely.
have health, I don't have golf, I don't have money, I don't
Hmm.
have friends, I don't have anything if I don't have my health.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me get really good at understanding, how does the body work and how does the mind work? And then let me go out and play golf and see what changes. And everything changed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I forgot who was mentioning this. I think it was on Joe's podcast again, but he was talking about how comedy is a game of confidence. And I feel like life is a game of confidence. And when you start getting more confident, just so many more opportunities, like you said, start opening up. Girls
Yeah.
start looking at you. And I think it is, I mean, there's something genetically that females are attracted to when they just see like a nice build. But then also too, like, it doesn't explain why fat guys who are confident get girls, because that didn't make no sense to me.
Mhm.
Like just like from a genetic standpoint, but you know,
Yeah.
that or ugly guys could get girls. But like if you have confidence and you're confident in something, you're confident in yourself, that is huge. I would open up job opportunities, open up relationship opportunities, everything. So yeah, man, you're like hitting the nail like right on the head, and
Yeah.
it's amazing, man.
Well, and I want to just point out too, I think that with the confidence and why people are just drawn to people that are confident, we want to be in relationships with people that are confident usually, right? And
Of
I think
course.
that's because confidence to me, the way I define it, the way I look at it, is confidence is self-trust, right? So when I was building confidence, what I was simply doing was building trust with myself, right? Doing the things I didn't want to do, like work out, that was building trust in myself. And you build enough of this trust in you, and
Yeah.
you have that self-belief of I can do what I want to do. People want to be around that.
Yeah.
People people crave trust, right? People are looking for trust.
Yeah.
So confidence is a form of trust. We just don't see it. So
Absolutely.
we're attracted to that of like, oh, that dude trusts himself. Let me be with him. I
Yeah.
can trust him then if he can trust himself,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so cool, man. Cool. I know I had some questions for you, some like just like generic ass questions, but we got into some pretty good stuff. So
Yeah. Good.
that was cool. Lastly, you know, because you focus as a coach, you know, like your transformation is obviously um, you're a fitness coach, but then you're also a mental coach, and you can see that within your own body, and you can see that within the community that you create. Say, for example, with your book club, The Uncommon Man. That's what it's called, right? The Uncommon
Yeah.
Man. Um, I like your walks, your daily walks. Does that, you know, speaking of like the mind, the body, and like I feel like the soul part is kind of what you work on when you're getting out into nature. Um, what benefits does that give you when you're on your walks, or when you're climbing mountains, when you're in nature?
Yeah. Man, I was just telling a client on Monday, I just started a men's 12-week program, and I told him, I was like, expect 30-minute walks every day. Okay. Whether you're trying to lose weight or gain muscle, doesn't matter. You got to walk, because we're designed as human beings to walk long distance. Okay. And I think that, it's kind of funny too, at some points is I look at grocery stores and gyms. They should be in the same place. Okay. They should be in the same building, because our ancestors, they were attached or at least the two concepts were attached, because the only reason why we actually walk is to go find food. It's really the only reason. But our bodies are perfectly designed to walk long distance to go find food. And now we drive to the gym, and that's its own separate place. We go work out the body, and then we drive to the grocery store, and we go hunt. Basically, with our cart, we're hunting for food, right?
Yeah.
And we're so separated from those two things, but we're driving to those two places, which in reality we should be walking. And so really, what I try and do with clients, I try and get people to go back to being human, right? If we go back to doing the things that humans are designed and built to do, we'll become healthy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So your weight will drop down, you'll build muscle, you're going to be a lot happier, because we're happiest when we're being human. And simply, we're not doing things that are human anymore. And I mean that because we're in this society that is not set up for human interaction, right? Like, this is great, but it's not human. Humans connect in a circle
Right.
around a fire pit, right?
Right.
We connect, we hug, right? But we also walk. And that's kind of the whole point, is that when we walk, we move our feet, but we also move our brain too. And so when we're moving our feet,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. And it's an amazing thing when people understand that, oh wow, my mental health is actually connected to my physical health. And if I get my feet moving and my hands moving, well, we have acupuncture points or meridians or energy systems through our body. And yes, it's proven now in science. It's not, woo-woo anymore.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
there are connection points in our feet that go directly to our brain for feedback, right? So long story short, the more that we walk, the more that we can actually move through our environment, right? The more we trust our environment, right? Because we're walking through it. Well, the better we're going to be off mentally, because
Absolutely.
we're part of our environment. And if we're not part of our environment, like being in it, well, and we're just cooped up inside or in a gym or whatever, well, you know what? We're probably going to have some issues going on psychologically. That's not natural. So we need to get out in nature and we need to reconnect, because that's simply part of our design.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Thanks so much, Adam. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, what's up? I'm Marty Yang, creator of the Lucky Brain podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy.